Morning, kids, and let's continue the remaining part of chapter 5. Now we are going to deal today. And before I could take up, we had already taken up first part of utilization in everyday life. The first part of it, indigestion, we have dealt in my previous lecture. Today we'll be dealing with the remaining four. But before that, I told you about some of the indicators. Some of the indicators up in your day-to-day life. Like we have practiced for China rose petals, we have practiced for turmeric. I told you about beetroot and something I had prepared for my kids. Here, what exactly it is you are supposed to identify and tell me.
Beetroot.
Yes, it is beetroot and
Beetroot.
it's yeah, the indicator is very easy to make. Okay, I simply have made the small pieces out of a big one and added some water, kept it for some time, didn't do anything, and see the color segregates. And I have given you this concept that it gives different colors in acid and in base. Because it gives some beautiful change in base, this you can do at home using baking soda also, but baking soda should be fresh. Okay, you dissolve baking soda, this NaHCO3, sodium bicarbonate, metha soda, in small amount of water, and then you take that liquid, the solution of sodium bicarbonate. Here I am taking up, to give you the best results, I am taking up sodium hydroxide. Okay, it's a very good, brilliant base. Now what is the next thing I am doing? I have put my dropper in the liquid of the indicator I had shown you. And this is the base. And now let me pour a few drops. Can you see the change dropwise? Purple turning to?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the color change?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, to yellow.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
This is what we wrote the other day. That it changes. The beetroot color changes to yellow in a base. Got it? So same way you are going to get the color change if you use sodium bicarbonate at home. Now to another test tube I am going to take some amount of acid. And the acid in this case I am going to take up is dilute HCl, hydrochloric acid. Let us see. You are going to keep comparing the two colors. Okay. And it is definitely going to become lighter in shade. See the color difference. You can compare the one that is there in the dropper and the
Yes,
one
ma'am.
that is formed in the water, this liquid, HCl. Can you see the difference in the color change? See the color change difference.
Yes, ma'am. Light pink.
Yes, it goes light, right?
Yes,
Light.
ma'am.
All right. So if I compare these two now, this is for the beetroot. Okay. In base, it turns green, and in acid, it goes to lower color, a lighter shade like pink. All right. Got it? This you can do at home. It's very, very simple. See, a simple piece of beetroot, I have taken up one single piece of it and cut it in small pieces, put it in a glass jar, add some water, keep it for some time, and your indicator is ready. Like China rose. So try keep doing these things at home. Okay. And with this note of an activity, Let's start understanding about what happens when an ant bite or an insect bites. That's a painful process. Once it bites, and there you can feel severe pain. And that pain is even more severe if it is the case of a wasp, a yellow wasp. In the here in our language we call it as bur, the yellow wasp. And if that yellow wasp, that see there are three major species that we found around us. One is this yellow wasp, peele rang ka bur. The second one is the honeybee. The honeybee which may be bigger in size and the one that may be smaller in size. And there is this big wasp, black color big wasp, bhavra. In all these cases, once they bite, they really are causing severe pain in that area wherein they bite. Here I would bring one very nice thing to your notice, an important thing to your notice. That is, there are certain wasps, they are found in some part of South America. They are so dangerous that if they bite, if more than one of the wasps, they bite a person, and the person is not treated in time, then within half an hour their poison is so severe that it starts catching hold of the small intestine. There will be severe pain in the stomach or the belly portion, and if the person is not taken to the hospital or not given antidote for that particular wasp, the person may die. It is from beginning to small severe methanoic acid going to that extent to kill a person. These can cause harm to a living being. Alright? So, like you must have heard of this spider also. There is this spider, black widow. If that bites, end of story. The black big spider. You must have seen in some of the movies and cartoon shows. That is too deadly. And these spiders that are found in our home, if they bite, there will be some small balls or the burn-like structure on the skin if they bite. So it depends from animal to animal, but yes, here we are discussing about those bites wherein the insects are biting and they are causing some pain. That means there definitely is going to be methanoic acid. And wherever this acid, either this acid or by mistake if some acid falls on the skin, and if you do not have a base, you wash it thoroughly with water, the effect of acid will go off. But the best thing is the sodium bicarbonate available at home. Take it, put it in water and make a thick paste of it and start rubbing on it. Okay, that actually neutralizes. Right? So let's have it about ant bite, the second one. First we have already covered. Ant bite. An ant bite injects formic acid. Formic acid, or you have taken up this name, methanoic acid. Both means the same. Same, it's the name of both. Both means the same. Formic acid is a common name, day-to-day life name, and methanoic acid we say this IUPAC. That means scientific name. You can say it's methanoic acid, and the formula of that will be HCOOH. Okay, that's an acid it is injecting inside, which can be neutralized by rubbing moist. Remember, which can be neutralized by rubbing moist baking soda. Baking soda is, there are two names of it, sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate. It means all the way same. So here as per the book, it is written as sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate, and the formula is NaHCO3. Baking soda or calamine solution. Now, what is this calamine solution? It again contains a base and it is available in small bottles in outside market, very easily available. And in that there will be some paste like thing, a cool thing that comes out, and its color is generally just like that of mud, light brownish color. And if that is applied on the skin, that makes it cooler. Okay. And calamine, of course, contains another carbonate, that is zinc carbonate. And the formula of zinc carbonate is ZnCO3. So, of course, acid gets neutralized by taking up this base. But remember, in all the cases wherever you want the reaction to happen, there we are supposed to use a base in along with. So, for example, if you simply take a dry sodium bicarbonate powder, if you take, that won't be effective. So, you always, if you want these chemicals to react, you have to take them in solution form, that means along with water. Like here we have written moist baking soda. That means you have taken a baking soda and add a few drops of water to that, made a paste of it, and then you apply. That will be effective. Chemicals are always effective once they are in the liquid state. If they are not, if they are taken up dry, they are not going to give us correct reactions. Remember that. Okay? And here now we go for the next one, that is soil treatment.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, can we the paste on it?
Paste, yeah, any base. Any base. See, this is a common observation I have seen in some of the homes, wherein if someone has some burns in kitchen, if the finger or the part of hand burns, the people prefer to apply the white toothpaste on it. That is this Colgate, right? And there, why do they apply that? Because there it is providing cooling effect. It dries up and it takes up the heat from the surrounding. So that provides actually the cooling effect there. But definitely it is a base, can be definitely applied. Clear? So let's now start understanding for the next one, that is soil treatment. Now, why the soil needs to be treated as such? Say in India, it is estimated that around 70% of the land we have is actually highly fertile. But still then at times we run short of the food grains. What is the reason for that? Because we are not taking proper care of the treasure that we have. We are not taking care that in a particular season, this much amount of food grains I am supposed to get. For example, the worst part in all area is that here these crop plant areas, they are divided in many small parts, small farmers. For example, a single village, if there is a land area which is very good, which can give a production of wheat, and that is around 10,000 hectares, then 10,000 hectares will be having around 20 to 25 to 50 farmers. They have divided the land and they are doing according to their will and wish, the way they want. See, standing here, I cannot say what they have to do in their fields. They are the better judge. But what we have studied and what we came to know is that because of some ignorance, some people may get good crops, and those others who don't have proper knowledge of their soil, they definitely lose their crops. Now, if any agriculture officer go and tell them that please try to check the texture of your soil. After adding so much of manure last year, it might have turned acidic. They are going to throw him away, bash him up, go. We don't need your advice, we know about our land. That is one major drawback. And if my neighbor's land has given good production using a particular fertilizer, I will also use the same fertilizer without even understanding the actual nature of my soil. I'll do that. That is actually wrong. Why? Because if my soil needs phosphorus and I'm continuously supplying it with nitrogen and potassium, definitely the soil will go on becoming deficient in phosphorus year after year. This year you grow one crop, next year, again next year, slow and steady, the crop production will decline, it will go low. Alright, this is the first thing. First thing is that we need to know actually what is deficient in the soil. For example, time and again, after some time or the other, we get this opportunity to come to know that this particular element is less in my blood after the blood test. Iron is less, so let's give medicines for iron. B complex is less, so let's have B complex. Right? Same way the soil also gets deficient. This year you had grown crop, next year, again next year. The component which is present in less amount, number one, it should be supplied. But in this chapter, that component is not a concern. The concern is that component, for example, phosphorus is needed. Phosphorus, potassium, they are available in both the forms in market. They will have their fertilizer which is acidic in nature, and they will have a fertilizer which is basic in nature. Now, if my soil is deficient in potassium and the nature of my soil is becoming more and more acidic, then I should supply which fertilizer to the soil?
Basic fertilizer.
Basic fertilizer. Neutralization पढ़ा ना हमने. If the soil nature is going more towards being acidic, supply basic to it. And if your soil is turning more basic, that is more salty, you will supply it with acidic. If you happen to get the time, please try to search for how do they harvest the crops in the areas like those of Egypt. 0% you can say as compared to India, they do not have fertile lands at all. And in India, there is one more rumor that is spreading a myth. If you use more fertilizer, your soil will become infertile. Check the amount per hectare fertilizer that is utilized in Egypt and compare that with that of India. They have the same land mass which they are using years together. But the only thing is what they are careful about is because they have limited land wherein they can grow the crops. What do they do is after removing every crop from the field, they check the salinity, the alkalinity, that means how much the soil is going towards being acidic or being basic. And which particular component of the soil is reducing, that they supply. That means they maintain the acidity and basicity in the soil. So year after year, instead of putting more and more amount of fertilizer, they are getting maximum crops out of the limited area. And if that technology we apply here also in India, the production will be too much that there won't be any space to store. But the problem is that the crops get damaged because of many reasons, but this is one of them. This is one of them. That acid, it is becoming acidic and we are not aware of it. The soil is going acidic and continuous, it is continuing. Alright? So basic thing, we are going to write for it that if the soil every year and not even after every season, if you can't do at least once in a year, check the quality of the soil. Is it acidic? Is it basic? If it is acidic, supply basic fertilizer. Okay? If the soil is basic, supply acidic. Here you must have heard of one place named as Kalakhet. Have you heard of it? No. There is a place near Puravaghata.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we call it as Kalakhet. The name
I
of,
had been to Kalakhet.
yeah, See so much of rich vegetation. You feel like as if you are not at all in Rajasthan, you are somewhere else. And same amount of water in the soil. They are using some advanced technologies like sprinkler system, okay, drip irrigation, using less water and supplying it to more. And
मैम
these,
सीजनल फ्रूट भी उगते हैं.
yeah, they do test the soil every season. Every year they test, okay, it's going that way, let me supply that fertilizer. Little bit of knowledge about the soil that can enhance the production like anything. Okay, so let's now write about it soil. Plants cannot grow. Plants do not grow. See, the NCRT line begins with this one. Excessive use of fertilizers makes the soil acidic. I don't comment on that sentence, but that sentence should be actually non-judicious use of excessive fertilizer. You are not aware of the soil. Soil is becoming acidic, you are supplying more acidic fertilizer. Definitely damage. Fertilizers are really friendly to us. No doubt they are non-biodegradable. If they are not degraded in nature on their own, agreed. But they are not bad for plants. You can compare fertilizer and manure this way, that you are taking healthy diet every day, right? What if the body becomes deficient in iron, say for example, let me take the example, or vitamin A, say for example. Then eating carrots won't help you. You have to go to the doctor and you have to take vitamin A tablet. So fertilizers are those vitamin tablets and manure is this balanced diet. So after a limit, you have to provide exact shot what the soil needs. So fertilizer is actually a boon, a good thing for the soil, but should be used judiciously. Kitna, kaha, kaun sa. If you're not doing that, then definitely excess of it is going to harm. Your body doesn't need, and you're taking this vitamin E is good for my skin, vitamin A is good for my eyes, vitamin B12 tablets I should take up. Keep on taking, it is going to reduce your immune system to such an extent that God forbid if tomorrow you have to go for an operation, on the operation table there will be problems in clotting of blood. There will be problems in recovering the body. So without the consultation of the doctor, we should not go ahead taking any tablet, I'm telling you. Maybe if you are taking these multivitamins, let me keep on taking them. No, let it be prescribed by a doctor. Please consult a doctor and then do it. Fertilizers are the same. Check the nature of the soil, then go ahead. Okay? Plants do not grow well in too acidic or too basic soil. And soil is acidic, now here comes an important point. Soil is acidic. It is treated with tuna, quicklime. Bases like quicklime, it is treated with bases like quicklime, calcium oxide, calcium oxide, CaO, or slate lime calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH plus. And if the soil is basic, when the soil is acidic, you are doing that. And when the soil is basic, it is provided manure. Manure, cow dung, takes animal waste and all that, right? And why will it be so? It's known as organic matter or compost. Organic matter or compost which releases acid. Manure actually releases acid. Acids recognize basic nature of the soil. So basically it's very easy to understand. By the time we are writing, you can understand this also, that why do we add this manure or compost? This manure or compost basically, once it lies near to the ground, near to the roots of the plants, it releases acids continuously, slowly keep on releasing acids. And those acids basically neutralize. The salty nature of the soil, you can say, gets removed. Names we are supposed to beta always keep in mind. Here if you are saying that there is, it injects formic acid and that is neutralized by baking soda, sodium hydrogen carbonate, and of course calamine solution. Soil treatment technique, if it is acidic, we are adding quicklime or slate lime. Or if the soil is basic, we are adding compost or the organic matter. If you have noted this, well and good. If not, then take a screenshot of it. We need to deal with the last part of the chapter. Good. The last one is actually the factory waste. The factory waste, some are still writing. Write it fast, take a screenshot of it if you have not written. And now let's understand about the factory waste. The water produced by the factories, it is released. There are norms, there are rules made by government which says that before releasing this used water by the factories into the water bodies, you are supposed to treat it, remove the harmful chemicals, change its nature and temperature as per the outside water body and then release it. Generally, in case of cloth industry and in case of this, those industries which are actually synthesizing plastics,
मैम
they
वो जो फैक्ट्री वेस्ट सही होने जाता है वो मैम
English.
मैम जो मैम द फैक्ट्री वेस्ट goes to STP.
Now, what is STP?
मैम सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट.
That's what you are wrong about. STP is sewage treatment plant, like you said. Sewage treatment plant treats the sewage. That means that waste that goes out of our homes from the gutter pipelines. We have one here in the colony also. Somewhere at the corner of Madhu Pratap colony, please ask your parents, they can take around, you can move that side and you can have a look at it. A very big, if you are happening to be residing somewhere near Delhi, then Okhla is a place wherein very big, this sewage treatment plant is there. I'm not talking about sewage treatment. I'm talking about the treatment of the waste water being released from the factories. Like we know that if you need to eat food, you need water. You need to cook food, you need water. Like a moment ago I was telling you, if you need to apply acid, an ant has bitten, a wasp has bitten, and you need to apply a base on it, then you are using sodium bicarbonate paste. And there also you need water. For every bit of it you need water. That basically means that for manufacturing and synthesizing those things which are necessary for us, they do need water. So that water they take up from the nearby water bodies, use it, and they throw it without treating. The paint industries and the cloth industries, they are the worst in this case. They just remove the used water to the neighboring water bodies without testing the concentration of harmful chemicals in it, the level of the liquid, whether the water is acidic or basic in nature. Generally it goes acidic, highly acidic, and is released just like that in water, which is harmful for the water body. Alright, and there is a term for it. Is harmful waste water that is released from the factories, that is actually known as effluents. Effluents means it will have that water from the river which the factory has taken, and in that they add the dissolved waste also, and the nature of that water turning to be totally acidic. They are actually effluents. Once we are going to read for this water pollution, we are going to read that these are the two major culprits. One is sewage, and the second one is this effluent, factory waste. So this, actually once these factories are set up, they do have to sign this agreement with government that they are not going to harm the environment. And the water they are using will be treated first of all in the factory itself. They should have, factories need not send it anywhere. If the factory is releasing an exhaust, if it has a chimney, it is a responsibility of the factory to release the gases very high, and that too, it should have trapped the harmful chemicals there only. Same way, releasing the water back to the water bodies, it must have treated it properly before sending it out. Some factories, to some extent, I don't know, maybe they are doing it, but most of the factories, they are irrespective of the place, they are harming the nature continuously, damaging water. And that actually kills the species that are living inside water. So that is about the explanation today, and we are left only with writing about the factory waste that I'll be doing in tomorrow's class. I would expect my kids to read a bit about it, and please try to find some more things about on a net also, and try to do that about beetroot I showed you today. Try to do that at home. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
All the best, kids. Stay safe. टेक केयर, हैप्पी लर्निंग बच्चों।
थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.